Hello, dear students. Today we are going to discuss our next chapter, A Tale of Two Bullocks. It is written by a very famous writer, Munshi Premchand. His pen name was Dhanpat Rai Srivastav. He was born in 1880 and died in 1936. This story is about the adventure of a pair of two bullocks who have been loaned by their master to his in laws. This emotional and heartwarming tale is about two bullocks who are best friends and who go through much suffering and hardships. Shows how compassionate the author was and how much he was aware about the feelings and sensibilities of the animals. Now, before starting the explanation, just have a look upon the main characters of this story. Juri, the vegetable farmer. Two bullocks, Hira and Moti. Juri's wife. Gaya, Juri's brother-in-law. The buyer and Bharo's daughter, who is a young girl. Now, let's start the explanation of this chapter line by line. Juri, the vegetable farmer, had two bullocks named Hira and Moti. Both were of fine Pachai stock, of great stature, beautiful and hard working. The two had lived together for a very long time and become sworn brothers. They would speak to each other in their silent language. They would express their love by licking and sniffing one another. Sometimes they would even lock horns, not from hostility, but rather out of friendship and a sense of fun, the way close friends slap and pummel one another. When they were released from the yoke after their day's work, at noon or in the evening, they would lick and nuzzle one another to ease their fatigue. When the oilseed cake and straw was tossed into the manger, they would stand up, thrust their muzzles into the trough together, and sit down side by side to eat. So, dear students, it is the story of a vegetable farmer, Juri, who had two bullocks by the name of Hira and Moti. Both of them were of good stock. They were magnificent looking, hard workers, and of great size. Having lived together for quite long, both the bullocks had developed a sort of kinship. Both would sit facing each other and converse in a silent language. They would lick and sniff at each other to express their affection. Sometimes they would lock horns, not out of any aggregation, but out of friendship. After a hard day's work, when they were untied and released, they would lick each other and relieve their weariness. When fodder was placed before them, they would put their mouth to the trough simultaneously. All this show that the two bullocks, Hira and Moti, were good friends. Once, Juri sent the pair to his father-in-law's. The bullocks assumed that the master had sold them. They wanted to ask Juri, "Why are you throwing us out? We have done everything possible to serve you well. We ate whatever you gave us without complaint. If you had to, you could have made us work harder. Why did you sell us to this tyrant?" The two bullocks reached their new house in the evening, hungry after a whole day without food. But neither so much as stuck his mouth in the trough of food. Their hearts were heavy. They glanced at one another, deciding something in their mute language, and lay down. At night they pulled hard, broke their teeth, and set out for home. So, one day Jury decided to loan the bullocks to his in-laws. How were the bullocks to know why they were being sent away? They thought that their master had sold them. It seemed if God had blessed them with the human tongue, they would have asked Jury, "Why are you driving away both of us? If you were not satisfied with our work, you should have given us more work to do. We never complain about the fodder you give us. Then why have you sold us to this tyrant?" But what happened? By evening, they both were taken to their new place. They had not touched their mouth to the trough. They talked in their own silent language and lay down. At night, they tore the ropes that tethered them and marched towards home. When Jury got up early in the morning, he saw his two bullocks standing at the trough, half a tether dangling from each of their necks. Instead of being angry, he was overwhelmed with affection for them. He ran and threw his arms around their necks, and very pleasant was the spectacles of that loving embrace. Then Jury's wife caught sight of them. She said angrily, "These loafers of oxen," then ran away without even working for a day at my father's. Jury could not listen to his bullocks being slandered like this. Loafers are they? I'm sure they were not fed properly, or they would not have run off. Aggravated, she said, "They ran away because those people want to spoil them, unlike you. These bullocks are real lazy bones. I will give them nothing but dry straw now." At mealtime, when the bullocks put their faces into the trough, they found it insipid. No savor, no juice. How could they eat it? They began to stare towards the door. Now, what happened? Next morning, when Jury woke up, he found Hira and Moti again at the trough. Jury was overwhelmed with joy on seeing them. He rushed to them and embraced them affectionately. This display of affection was a very moving sight. But Jury's wife was unhappy. She said that the two bullocks were very ungrateful. They could not even work for a day but had to run away. Jury could not tolerate the criticism directed at Hira and Moti. According to him, they might not have been fed, so they ran away. In the fit of anger, his wife said that the bullocks were lazy, so they ran away, and decided to give them only dry straw now. After this incident, the servant was instructed to give only dry straw to the bullocks. The next day, Jury's brother-in-law Gaya came again and took the bullocks away. This time he yoked them to his wagon. Moti wanted to knock the wagon into the ditch, but Hira, who was more tolerant, held him back. When they reached the house, Gaya tied them with thick ropes and threw down the same dry straw. The two bullocks had never suffered such an insult. They didn't even bother to look into the trough. The next day Gaya yoked them to the plough, but it was as though the two of them had sworn not to lift a foot. Gaya grew tired beating them. Once, when the cruel man delivered a sharp blow on Hira's nostril, Moti took to his heels. with the plough in anger. Plough, share, rope, yoke, harness, all were smashed to pieces. But for the strong ropes around their necks, the bullocks would have escaped. Hira said to Moti in their silent tongue, "It's useless to run away." Moti answered, "But he was going to kill you." "We will be beaten for what we did. Gaya's coming with a couple of men carrying sticks." Moti said, "Just say the word and I will show them a little fun." "No, brother," Hira cautioned, "just stand still." So the next day, Juri's brother-in-law Gaya came again and took them away after yoking them to a cart. Gaya behaved in a very cruel manner with the two bullocks. Moti attempted to topple the cart on a few occasions, but Hira maintained the balance as he was more tolerant. The poor bullocks were forced to move anyway. Finally, they were taken away by Juri's brother-in-law. Moti stood quietly, protesting violently in his heart. When they saw his fierce look, Gaya and his helpers decided to put off the beating, for if he had not, Moti would have struck back. At their stall, the dry straw was brought to them. They stood in silence. The people were eating dinner in the house. A young girl came out carrying two pieces of bread. She fed them. How could a piece of bread still their hunger? But in their heart, they felt as though they had been fed a full meal. The girl was Bharo's daughter. Her mother was dead and her stepmother beat her often, so she felt sorry for the bullocks. So the days took on a pattern. The two were yoked all day, took a lot of beatings, and in the evening were tied up in their shed. At night, the girl would feed them some bread. Thanks to this communion of love, though they ate only a few mouthfuls of the dry straw, they did not grow weak. So, my dear students, as we know very well that Moti was aggressive and hot tempered, he stood quietly there. So, Gaya and his helpers behaved roughly with him so that they would not try to run away again. Gaya tethered the bullocks with much stronger ropes and put before them dry fodder. Suddenly, a young girl came out of the house and fed them with two pieces of bread. This kind girl was Barrow's daughter. Her stepmother beat her often. Daily, Gaya yoked the bullocks to the plough. The tyrant took a stick and hit them a lot. After that, in the evening, he tied them in their shed. Every night, the girl who felt sorry for them fed them some bread. Due to her kindness, they didn't grow weak, though Gaya used to give them dry straw only. One day, Moti said, "I can't stand it any longer. Tonight we will break the ropes and run away." At night, after the girl left, the two began to gnaw at their ropes, but the thick cord wouldn't even fit in their mouths. Suddenly, the door of the house opened and the girl came out. The bullocks began to lick her hand. Their tails stood up while she stroked their foreheads. "I'm going to let you go," she said. "Be very quiet and run away, or these people will kill you." She untied the rope, but the two stood silently conferring. Well, let's go. Hira decided, though this girl is going to be in a lot of trouble tomorrow. Perhaps to force the bullocks to escape, the girl suddenly yelled, "Father, come quickly! Uncle's bullocks are running away." Gaya came rushing out of the house. The bullocks began running with him fast behind them. Gaya soon turned back to fetch some villagers. The two friends kept running straight ahead. They halted at the edge of a field. Hira said, "It appears we have lost our way." You took to your heels without thinking. Dizzy with hunger, they began browsing a pea field, stopping occasionally to listen for anyone coming. So, what happened when the things crossed their patience limit? Muti suggested to break the rope that night and run away. At night, when the little girl left after offering them bread that night, both started chewing at the ropes, but the ropes were so thick that they could not chew at them. A little later, the girl came outside again. Both of them began licking at her hands. The girl said that she will untie the ropes so that they both may run away quietly. The girl untied the knots and set the bullocks free, but the two remained standing. At that instant, the girl shouted to force them to run. "Both the bullocks are running away. Father, come quickly." So Gaya rushed out in great haste, but the bullocks ran faster. They couldn't find any familiar path. They halted by the edge of a field of peas. They had scarcely eaten a couple of mouthfuls when the two men with sticks came running at them. Hira was on the embankment and slipped away, but Moti's feet were stuck in the soggy field. When Hira saw his comrade in trouble, he dashed back. Both were caught and tied near the village pond for a week without any food. They grew so weak that they couldn't even stand up, and their ribs stuck out. One day, someone beat a drum outside the enclosure. A crowd gathered. The two friends were brought out and inspected. There came a man who dug his fingers into the haunches of the bullocks and began to talk with the clerk. Soon the bullocks were sold and the friends went off with the man. They were trembling and could scarcely lift their feet, but they stumbled along for fear of being beaten. After some time, the road suddenly seemed familiar. Yes, this was the road by which Gaya had taken them away. Their pace quickened, their weariness disappeared. Here was their own meadow, the well where they had worked the pulley. Moti said, "Our house is close by." "I'm making a run for home," said Hira. "We will make it to our stalls and won't budge from there. If the man tries to stop us, I will knock him down." So, Hira and Moti, both of them were hungry and began grazing quickly. When they had their fill, they saw two men armed with sticks rush towards them. Hira, who was on dry land, could have run away, but Moti's feet were stuck in the sludge. When Hira saw his friend in trouble, he decided not to leave his friend alone in this situation. The man caught them and tied them near the village pond for a week. They also kept them without food, due to which they became so weak, even they were not able to stand on their legs properly. One day, a crowd gathered near the enclosure and the two friends were taken out. All of a sudden, they became the center of the attraction. After examining the bullocks, a man entered into a conversation with the clerk. Now, the two friends went along the man as they were sold. They were shivering in fright as they were so weak they could not even lift their feet, but had to keep pace with the man. Otherwise, the man would hit them mercilessly. Suddenly, the two friends realized that they were walking along the familiar path. It was the same path by which Gaya had taken them to his home. Moti said that they had almost reached their home. Hira was also ready to run towards the home, and if the man would try to stop them, he would knock him down. Joyfully kicking up their heels like calves, the friends made off for the house. They hurtled in and stood by their stall while the man came dashing after them. Jury was sitting in his doorway sunning himself. Surprised as he was, he ran up and embraced them. Tears of joy flowed from the two friends' eyes, and one of them licked Jury's hand. Meanwhile, the buyer came huffing up and grabbed their teethers. "These are my bullocks," said Jury. "How can they be? I just bought them at an auction." "I will bet you stole them," said Jury. "I will go to the police station and make a complaint." "You do what you want. They are my bullocks. The proof is they came and stood at my door." In a race, the man stepped forward to drag the bullocks away. Moti lowered his horns and charged. So, my dear students, when the two friends found the familiar path, they rushed towards their home, bounding like calves. They reached their home and came to a halt. The buyer came running after them. Jury was sitting outside and sunning himself. When he saw the bullocks, he ran to them and embraced them in turns. There were tears of joy in the eyes of the two friends, and one of them licked Jury's hands. At the same time, the buyer came and took hold of the ropes. Jury interrupted and informed that the bullocks belonged to him. But the man was not ready for it and told Jury that he had just bought them at an auction. Jury was not ready to lose them again, and he said that the proof lied in the fact that they were standing at his doorstep. The buyer stepped forward to take away the bullocks forcibly. This was too much for Moti. He lowered his leg and showed his horns. The man took to his heels with the bullock after him. He shouted many threats while Moti stood blocking his path like a victorious hero. Finally, he went away and Moti came back strutting. "I was afraid you had be so angry that you would kill him," Hira told Moti later. Nobody thinks of the life we have as being alive because we are so simple. Moti replied, munching on the oilseed cake, hay, bran, and grain. Jury stood by and stroked them. At this moment, Jury's wife came out and kissed each of the bullocks on the forehead. So, when the buyer tried to take away the bullocks forcibly, Moti chased the buyer out of his village. The man abused a lot, but as a victorious hero, Moti blocked his path. So finally, the man went away defeated, and Moti returned back to Juri. Both the bullocks were so happy as finally they were back to their home. In a matter of seconds, the trough was filled with oil cakes, bran, and fodders, and the two friends started eating with relish. Jury stood by and stroked them. Just then, Jury's wife came out and kissed both Hira and Moti on their forehead. In this way, a heartwarming tale of two friends ends here, with a display of complex human emotions which could also be seen in animals. Thank you and goodbye.